Hi friends, today I'm sharing a homemade English muffin recipe, or muffins as they are known in the UK, with cinnamon and raisins. What's great about these muffins is that they are pan bread, that is, they are cooked on a skillet or griddle on the stovetop, so no oven is necessary. First, let's start by warming some non-dairy milk until it is lukewarm. I'm using homemade oat milk of a thin or watery consistency. Once the milk is warmed, remove from the heat and add the maple syrup or sugar. Then sprinkle the yeast. Mix well and let the mixture sit for a few minutes. Meanwhile, in a large mixing bowl, mix all the dry ingredients together: the spelt and oat flour, salt and cinnamon. You can substitute the spelt or both flours with all-purpose wheat flour or strong bread flour if you wish, but I'm using a mixture of spelt and oat for a healthier version. This results in a slightly denser texture than store-bought English muffins. Spelt flour does contain gluten, and it is not suitable for sufferers of the celiac disease, but a lot of people who have wheat intolerance are able to consume spelt. It is best to find out for yourself or consult your doctor before consuming spelt. By now, the milk yeast mixture should be frothy and bubbly. Add it to the flour mixture, then add the melted coconut oil or vegetable oil. The oil does make a difference in the texture of these muffins to keep them soft. If you want to omit it, the muffins will be quite dry and even a little hard. Mix with a spatula until the flour is moistened. Then go in with your hand and mix. The dough that will form will initially be rather sticky. You may need to add 1 or 2 more tablespoons of flour if needed, depending on the type of flour you're using. Once the dough is no longer sticky, knead to form a soft, smooth texture. Place on a floured surface and knead for about 5 minutes. Take care not to over-knead the dough. The gluten in spelt flour is water soluble, so it may lose its structure if the dough is kneaded for too long or too vigorously. If you decide to substitute the spelt flour with all-purpose wheat flour, then knead the dough for about 10 minutes. Stretch the dough out and sprinkle the raisins on evenly. Enclose and form a ball. Knead a couple of times to evenly mix the raisins in the dough. Then shape into a smooth ball and place back into the mixing bowl. Cover with a lid or towel and keep in a warm place. You can keep it in the oven with only the light turned on to keep the heat. Once the dough has doubled or tripled in size, this may take 2 to 3 hours depending on how warm it is. Remove it from the bowl and place it on a lightly floured surface. Lightly shape it into a rather flat round, then roll the dough out to about 2 centimeters or 3/4 of an inch thick. Cut out circles with a large round cookie cutter or English muffin rings. You can make your own rings with aluminum foil, as I demonstrated in the turmeric and coconut buns video that I shared previously. I'll leave the link in the description. Line a baking tray with parchment paper and dust with some cornmeal. Place the cut dough on the baking tray with some space around each. Form the remaining dough into a ball again and either cut it out or hand shape it. In fact, this dough is sturdy enough and will hold hand-shaped rounds pretty well. But if you're looking for perfectly round muffins, then use the muffin rings and leave them around the dough during the rising time. Make sure the rings are lightly greased. Dust with cornmeal, cover with a towel, and let rise again for another hour or so until muffins are double in size and puffy. Then heat a cast iron pan or skillet on medium temperature and brush with a little oil. Gently place the muffin, one or two at a time, in the pan and cook for 12 to 14 minutes on one side. Then turn and cook for another 10 to 12 minutes on the other side. It is not necessary to cover the pan, but this helps to keep the steam in. It allows the muffins to cook a little faster and puff a little more. You may need to adjust the temperature of the pan if it gets too hot. While you continue to cook the rest of the batch, you can keep the cooked muffins covered in a towel. This will keep them soft. You can actually make plain muffins if you omit the cinnamon and raisins. Plain English muffins make ideal buns for savory fillings of your choice. Carefully cut the muffins in half with a small knife or fork. Then enjoy with your favorite spread. You can also toast them. Once cooled, keep the rest in an airtight container or freeze them. Cut them in half first before freezing. They can then be easily reheated or toasted as needed. If you've enjoyed this recipe, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. You can find a printable version of the recipe on our website. Check the description for the link. Until next time, take care.